Let's talk about modals, popovers, and alerts. iOS provides various styles of temporary views, and this is what modals, popovers, and alerts are. They're temporary views, and they can be used to display, edit, and manipulate data in a way that best fits in a given situation. Now, while each temporary view exists for a very specific reason, each one looks different. And all of these temporary views still have one thing in common, and that is when they're displayed, they're going to be in the highest index layer of the current view. And all this means is that they appear on top of everything else. And any content underneath is going to be overlaid, and it's going to be translucent with a black background. The first temporary view we're going to look at is the activity view. An activity view is used to perform a specific task. And these tasks can be default system tasks, such as sharing content via the available options, or they could be completely custom actions that we create. Now, when we design icons for the custom task buttons, we're going to follow the exact same guidelines as we did for our bar button icons. And if you recall, the active state of the bar buttons were solid, they were solid fill, there were no effects, and they were on a transparent background. Well, we're going to use the same exact guidelines for that as we do for our activity view buttons. The second temporary screen we're going to talk about are actions. And an action sheet will be pulled up when a user clicks a specific action, and then they'll have a couple different options on where they want to proceed. And they can either confirm an action or revert back to the last screen and cancel that action. Now in portrait mode, actions are always displayed as a list of buttons sliding in and staying at the bottom edge of the screen. Now in this case, an action should always have a cancel button to close the view and not perform any of the listed actions. And this is for an iPhone. Now, when there is enough space available, and this is for iPad screens, action sheets visually transform into popovers. So essentially, a button to close the view is not required anymore with a popover because tapping a target anywhere outside the popover will automatically close it. Another temporary view we see a lot are alerts, and I'm sure you recognize these. Now, of course, the purpose of an alert is to inform the user about some critical information and then force that user to then make a decision. Now, every alert contains title text, and we're going to always make sure we keep this to one line. And then we have either one button or two buttons. We can also add a message to the text if needed, and we can also include two input fields, as well as putting in a masked input field in case you need to take in sensitive information like passwords or PIN numbers or stuff like that. The edit menu allows users to perform functions such as copying or selecting or pasting, the obvious stuff. And this is something that we cannot style and we cannot change. The visual appearance of the edit menu is set and is not configurable unless we build a completely custom edit menu. So this is something that I just wanted to show you guys, but that you will not be able to customize. Popovers are very handy little temporary views that are useful when we need a specific action that requires multiple user inputs before proceeding. Now a good example would be adding an item, which has a few attributes that need to be set before the item can be created. Now in a horizontal environment, popovers reveal underneath the related controls such as a button, with an arrow pointing to the control while open. So you'd have a little arrow pointing straight up to the button. Now the background of a popover has many of the same UI elements as a lot of the other elements within iOS 7 and iOS 8. We have the reduced opacity that blurs that content underneath. Now they're especially powerful because this is the only temporary view that can contain various objects such as its own navigation bar, table views, maps, or even web views. So they can hold really powerful content for a temporary view. And when a popover grows in size due to the number of contained elements it reaches, it is possible to scroll within the popover.